Some school lockdowns are drills. Some are misunderstandings. And some, the ones people still whisper about years later, leave behind questions no principal, no police report, no official explanation can ever answer. This is a collection of those stories that began with routine days and ordinary moments, until one sound, an alarm, a scream, the click of a lock sliding into place, changed everything. Stories told by students who swear what they heard, what they saw, what they survived, was real. Stories that remind us that when the classroom door closes, when the lights go out, when you're told to stay silent and not move, you're not always alone. These are the first time I heard the sound. I thought it was a book falling in the hallway. A single, soft thump, but when it came again, slow, dragging, deliberate, I realized it wasn't a book at all. It was a footstep, and the moment I understood that, the lockdown alarm exploded across the speakers. Lockdown. Lockdown. This is not a drill. The intercom voice shook. And so did every nerve in my body. It was the middle of fourth period at Brookfield Middle School. Rain hammered the windows. Everyone looked half asleep and bored just seconds before the announcement, but now, everyone jolted awake at once. My teacher, Mrs. Aldridge, dropped her coffee. It splashed across the tile, steaming, forgotten. Her face went pale in a way I'd never seen on an adult. Everyone move, she whispered. Now. The lockdown procedures were drilled into us, but today we moved like we were underwater, slow and trembling. Chairs scraped. Backpacks slid. People shoved into corners too small to fit everyone. Somewhere behind me, someone was whispering a prayer. The door clicked locked, the lights went off. A silence swallowed the room, and then, those footsteps, not rushing. Not frantic. Not trying to escape anything, just one step, after another, like someone taking their time, like someone who knew we were listening. Mrs. Aldridge crawled across the floor and pressed her ear to the bottom of the door. She motioned for us to stay still. I could feel my heart pounding in my throat loud enough I was sure the person outside could hear it. The hallway was silent, then a soft scrape, metal on metal. Someone was slowly dragging something, a key? A knife, across the lockers. A girl near me let out a tiny gasp. Mrs. Aldridge turned and pressed a finger to her lips, her eyes wide, and then, the footsteps stopped, right outside our door, right there. The shadow of feet appeared beneath the gap. Someone was standing on the other side. I felt my vision blur with tears I didn't even realize were falling. A boy next to me bit into his sleeve to keep from crying out. The person outside turned the doorknob slowly yet gently, testing it. I could hear the tiny metallic clicks as it rattled back and forth. Mrs. Aldridge mouthed, "Do not move." I don't know how long the person stood there, holding the doorknob, breathing softly, too softly, through the crack. But it felt like years. After what felt like forever, the knob released. The shadow shifted. And the footsteps continued down the hallway, not fast. Not running, just walking. The entire room exhaled at once. 10 minutes passed. Then 20. Then 30. Finally, the intercom buzzed, but instead of the principal, we heard a voice we didn't recognize. Young, tired, almost strained. "Stay in your rooms. Do not open your doors. Help is coming." Then the speaker went dead. Teachers looked at each other. That wasn't protocol. That wasn't anyone we knew. A few students began crying again, quiet sobs in the dark. Police finally arrived an hour later, heavily armed. Helmeted. Moving in formation. We were escorted out of the room single file, hands on our heads. Students from other classrooms looked just as terrified. Outside, ambulances and police cars lit the rain-soaked courtyard with flashing red and blue. Parents screamed for their kids. Some teachers couldn't stop shaking. Our principal looked like she was about to collapse. They searched the building, every classroom, every bathroom, every storage closet, the roof, the basement, the boiler room, and they found no intruder. No forced entry. No broken doors. No security breach, and nothing. Every hallway camera worked except one, the one directly outside our classroom. It had gone dark for exactly 17 minutes. The same 17 minutes the footsteps echoed in the hall. Technicians checked the wiring. No damage. No glitch. No power loss, just darkness. When they tried to restore the footage, the screen showed only static, except for one frame, one corrupted, blurry image they couldn't explain. A tall figure, standing inches from our classroom door, head tilted. One arm raised. Hand resting on the knob of the timestamp glitched. but the moment captured was unmistakable. At the exact second we were sitting in the dark, holding our breath, listening to the handle turn. The police told us we probably mistook normal building noises. The school claimed the camera malfunctioned. Everyone tried to move on, but two things still bother me to this day. Point 1. The voice that came over the intercom, the one no one recognized? Security logs showed no one used the office microphone at that moment. And 2. When the police finally cleared the building and we were allowed back into the classroom to gather our things, there was something on the inside of the door, something no one could explain. Point 5. Long scratches, carved deep into the wood. Like fingernails. Long. Uneven. Desperate and fresh. The girl in the window. I still remember the exact second the lockdown began, because it happened right as I looked up and saw the girl in the library window, and she wasn't supposed to be there, not because she was new, or because she looked strange, but because the window she stood in front of was on the second floor, and she was standing outside of it. Let me explain. This story happened during my junior year, in a school that liked to pretend it was old and prestigious. It wasn't. It was just outdated and underfunded. The kind of school where half the cameras didn't work and the old library windows were so scratched you could barely see out of them. But that day, I saw her perfectly. It was lunchtime. I was shelving books as part of my library aide job. The fluorescent lights flickered the way they always did. The building hummed with distant chatter and footsteps, and then everything changed in a single moment. The lockdown alarm exploded overhead. No warning, no drill, no explanation. A harsh siren. A voice. Lockdown. Lockdown. This is not a drill. Students screamed. Books fell from shelves. The librarian nearly knocked over a computer diving for the light switch. I froze. The siren kept blaring, that horrible, rising tone that made every muscle in my body lock tight. But I didn't move, because out of the corner of my eye, through the tall, dusty window facing the courtyard, I saw her. A girl. Standing completely still outside. Staring in at us. She wasn't panicked. She wasn't running. She didn't even flinch at the alarm. She just stood there, motionless. Face pale. Hair hanging wet across her cheeks. Her hands, both of them, were pressed flat against the glass. But the most unsettling part wasn't how quiet or still she was. It was her eyes. She was looking directly at me, not at the librarian. Not at the other students. Me, like she had been waiting for me to look. I blinked, thinking maybe my imagination was running wild. But when my eyes opened again, she hadn't moved at all, not even a little. At just those cold, dark eyes locked onto mine. The librarian grabbed my arm. Get down, she hissed. Move. She dragged me under the large reading table where a group of freshmen were already huddled, sobbing. She turned off the lights and pulled the blackout curtain across the library door, but the windows still let in the stormy gray midday light. From under the table, I could still see the girl, still staring, still unmoving. The librarian whispered, "Is anyone outside? Did you see someone?" I didn't answer, because I didn't know what I had seen, and I wasn't ready to sound crazy. We crouched in the dark. Minutes dragged by painfully slow. Someone's breathing turned into wheezing sobs. Another kid whispered prayers. The librarian's phone buzzed and she silenced it immediately. Then, a soft, sharp tapping sound echoed through the room. Tap. 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 It was coming from the window, coming from her. No one else could see her from their angle, but I could. She lifted one hand, slowly, and tapped again, tapped, her head tilted, like she was trying to get my attention more clearly. My chest fell hollow. Every instinct in my body screamed to run, but there was nowhere to go. Then she lifted her other hand, and for the first time, I noticed something. Her fingertips were dark, not bruised. Not dirty, wet, soaking wet, dripping down her wrists. And then, she mouthed something, not loud enough to hear. Not animated enough to read easily. Just one slow, silent sentence, "Let me in." I clamped my hand over my mouth to keep from screaming. The librarian crouched beside me, whispering, "What's wrong? What is it? What do you see?" But before I could answer, another sound ripped through the building. A door slamming somewhere deep in the hallway, followed by fast footsteps. Heavy ones. Running. The librarian stiffened. Students whimpered, more footsteps running, then a man's voice shouting something unintelligible. A crash. A scream, something metallic clattering across the floor. My pulse hammered so hard my vision blurred. Someone, or something, was inside the school. The librarian made the smallest motion with her hand. "Stay down. Don't move." But the girl in the window, she was moving now, not walking, sliding, her face pressed against the glass as she smeared her hand.